Hello, Josefina and Molly. Thank you for joining us today to talk about the Bloodworks Governing Board and your experience on it. I would like to start with what got you into board service.
Board service provides me a valuable experience because it enhances and refreshes my perspective on board and corporate governance. These are perspectives that I can actually apply in my current professional roles. It exposes me to different leadership styles. It refines my communication and leadership skills.
Molly, what got you into board service?
I've always really felt committed to giving back to the community and being engaged as a board volunteer. I did really want to kind of have a longer duration experience with different organizations. And so that's where I get to board service as being a really nice way to give back in a higher level way that's going to really make maybe a different type of difference. And I also really just appreciate that I have some skills that might help different organizations.
Why Bloodworks as a place to give your time? Let's start with Molly.
I survived a postpartum hemorrhage 5 years ago when my daughter was born because of blood donors, because there was blood on hand from Bloodworks Northwest to provide me about 15 units of blood. I know that that made a difference for me, and I want to make sure that this organization is here to help all the other moms who go through what I went through and all the other people who have emergencies that need blood.
I have a less holistic, beautiful reason for being on the board. I was actually recruited about a year and a half ago by our prior board chair, Dr. Craig Smith, who believed that my specific expertise in corporate governance and complex corporate restructurings would be beneficial to the board. I also have a strong belief and interest in Bloodworks, in its mission, its vision for growth and community impact.
Dr. Craig Smith was the chair while I was there as well, and he's such a great leader and has so much innovation and just the way his mind thinks. Before you joined the Bloodworks board, did you have any volunteer experience or board experience?
I had both. I have volunteered all my life. I have always aspired to lead a life of contribution, not just in church. I had the honor of serving on other nonprofit boards for over 20 years by the time I made it to Bloodworks.
Yeah, I had served on the Within Reach board for 4 years, and I have also staffed different boards and board committees at different places that I've worked in the past, and legislative committees. So I understand how different dynamics work in different rooms.
What does being on a board mean? What activities do you do, both inside the organization and outside? Molly, do you want to take that one?
No, I want Josefina to start.
Happy to. For me, being on a board in general means being part of the governing body of an organization, being a fiduciary who makes decisions on behalf of the organization's stakeholders, the full spectrum from donors to patients and customers. We are a highly functioning board. We are a working board. We oversee the management's activities to make sure that they're on track to carry out the mission of the organization, to inspire our flock of employees and volunteers who are so passionate, so dedicated, so effective. We work hard, but we also share a lot of laughter. And we have a culture of transparency, of accountability. And I think that trickles down to the organization at large.
I would add to that, I think, in addition to the work that we do with governance and in committee meetings and in board meetings, I think we're also ambassadors for the organization. And that's a really important thing, that we're out there spreading the message about Bloodworks and all the great work that it does within our networks and within our peer community and within our neighbors. And I think that doesn't, that's something that obviously, Kate, you and your team do so great. You're so effective at getting messages out, but we're another way to get the messages out. And we all have different relationships, and we might be able to reach people in a really different way.
I fully agree. Having the experience on the governing board of just getting our voice out there and knowing who Bloodworks Northwest is just so valuable.
I think
serving on the board.
Kate,
sorry, go ahead.
I would just add that I think the funny thing is that so many people think about Bloodworks just because of the fact that we collect and transfuse blood and don't understand all of the other things that Bloodworks does. And I know that when I came in to meet with the former CEO, I was like, wait, what? You do all these other things that I had no idea about. And so that's actually one of my favorite things, is to be able to like tell people all these other cool things that are all related to blood that Bloodworks is involved in that they probably had no idea about.
All the research and development that goes on.
Yes.
And the scientific aspects of it. I mean, the public has no idea what a complex, risky undertaking this is and how well Bloodworks does it.
I kind of think of it as a donor, as a drop in the pond and the ripple effect. Like, so the core around it is blood donation, but then that can be expanded into Bloodworks Bio, and then that can go into research. Just all the different layers that you see. I mean, Bloodworks just expands so far.
That's a beautiful metaphor, Kate. I love it.
Serving on the board is acting as an executive volunteer for an organization. Does it feel like that?
I definitely feel like an executive volunteer.
I know you do. It's such a funny, I've never thought of myself as an executive volunteer. It's just funny words to me.
But are.
I guess we are. We're executive volunteers. Wonderful. I'm going to put that on my resume moving forward.
Absolutely. Our oversight responsibilities as the trustees of Bloodworks are very real. We're dedicated. We are diligent. We're passionate about it. We have a moral and legal responsibility. And I think we're doing it well. Don't you, Molly?
Yeah, no, I do think we do it well once I get over that hump of being called an executive volunteer, which sounds
I hereby promote you to executive volunteer.
I will take it, especially when you think about Bloodworks Northwest is so lucky to have so many amazing volunteers. And it's something that we're so dependent on as an organization that I guess, yes, I could elevate myself up to say, yes, I don't come and hang out in the canteen and help people in the canteen or sign people in when they come and show up to give blood. But I do spend a lot of time working on the board. And yes, we are making important decisions. We are involved in a lot of heavy stuff, and it's really important for the organization to have a steady and solid board.
I mean, we analyze materials from budget analysis and approval to capital allocation and investment to quality control, R&D, clinical decisions, the wealth of expertise that this organization has. I don't think I will ever stop satisfying my intellectual curiosity and learning from this board and the organization.
You learn something new at every board meeting. I swear, every time I think I have things figured out with science and blood health, I'm like, wait, what? What is that? And I have a biology degree that I do not use at all, but I definitely pull on things that are way back in the recesses of my brain often to be like, I feel like I remember something about this. I should know. I should know more. It's complicated stuff that we need to have at least a little bit of understanding about.
I do know that blood is red.
Yes. Yes. That is important.
I know. I will definitely say, as an employee, I learn something new every day here. There's some new fun fact to know, something new that the Research Institute is doing, which makes it really exciting. If there are people out there looking to volunteer at the board or leadership level, either at Bloodworks or elsewhere, how would you recommend getting on that path?
Molly?
Well, I think it's really important for people to look for organizations that they are aligned with in some way, that they are passionate about, because I think it's a lot easier for you to give your time to an organization if it's something that you really are passionate about, their mission or something that they've done in the past. I always encourage my students to be going out and seeking out organizations that they feel some sort of kinship toward, and then getting involved in some way. You don't need to start with board service. Maybe you start with being on an advisory committee, or in just kind of being more willing to answer their calls to action or volunteer in a different way. But it's really important that you at least start getting familiar with organizations that you might be interested in having a volunteer role with.
And don't forget to tell your friends, your peers, your colleagues that you're interested in board service.
Not everybody has that much time and bandwidth to be able to give to something. And so it's really, important for, if you are interested, to make sure people know that you're interested. And eventually you kind of tend to find this like right fit. And people want you to be engaged. If you support their organization, they want those types of people who support their organization to be on their board, right? Because you're going to help move their board in the right direction.
Yes, and I would just also say that companies and nonprofits also have volunteer opportunities, especially like within our canteens, and other opportunities to engage as well. So to just look into those.
It's so important to get the next generation involved in more leadership roles like this. Board service has been something that I've really valued in my life. I'm now 8 years total into board service, and I wouldn't trade it. It's been extra time, but it's also been extra connection and extra learning and just extra
everything.
Everything. I mean, it's been wonderful. I've built connections with people I never would have met otherwise. And I think that that's just a really rewarding piece of it. And I also get to know that I can walk away at the end of the day having made a difference. And that's really important.
Yep. Blood is the gift of life. And we're making small contributions to just give it away.